You're watching It's Life with your hosts, Juan Lee and Oliver Marcel. Come join us for enriching, enlightening, encouraging, and thought-provoking conversation. Let's go. Hey, hey, hey.
It's a new day, a new day. Hello, everybody. This is Juan Lee along with Oliver Marcel back this year for our fourth season.
We're back at it.
It's life, and it has been life doing its thing since the last time we've been here.
Yeah.
How's everything been, Oliver?
Listen, one thing you say about life is going to be consistent. It's going to be life.
Hey, look, you're going to figure it out and understand it. Man, I tell you, one of the things when you said that, one of the other podcasts I'm doing with Dr. Brockington, it's called Philosophy of Love. And he says, man, the biggest thing that we're challenged with is acceptance, is the fact of acceptance. And
Wow.
once we realize that things are the way they are, the next thing is accepting it.
Yeah.
We have to accept it. And until we accept it, we can't really begin to move on. We want to try to change things to make something, want to put a circle in a square hole.
Yeah.
No, as soon as you accept the fact that that square does not belong in that hole, you can move on.
Yeah. And I think I think the problem for a lot of us is, as it relates to the acceptance piece and why maybe we buck against that so much, is for a lot of people in their minds, acceptance equates to just taking on that and it becoming something. Like, I was talking to some couples the other day and was saying, listen, this thing that's happening is a cycle. It's not a category, right? It's a season. It's not a sentence, right? So acceptance does not mean I'm just like, oh, well, it is what it is.
No.
And I'm just not going to do anything else about it. And I think sometimes for some people, they feel like if they accept, that means, okay, it's doom and gloom. So that's it. Here we go. That's all that's there. And that's not what it is. It's literally a doorway. It's not, you know what I'm saying? It's not a pit. It's not a pit. It's not a tomb. It's not it's not a hole. It's a doorway. Accept it so that the doorway can open.
Again and again, we talked about this too, because we hear words and things based on our experiences with those words. Mm-hmm. And when we say acceptance, we think that it's a negative thing. No, it's actually something that gives you access to something new, to something different.
Yeah. Because
we find ourselves staying in a circle by not accepting the fact that change in many cases, and I think what you're talking about is that something is happening in your life and you don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that you don't like it don't change the fact that it's real.
That it's there. Right.
That it's there.
Right.
Okay. It's there. Accept that it's there. And it's from that perspective that you can then move to find a way to adjust, to make the adjustments necessary to be able to move on.
Right.
It's not about it's not meant to be there for a point. Just okay, we stop this doom. You forget. You can't go any further.
Yep. And I think that's the thing, that's the hang up for us, right? It's like, and we've talked about this in previous seasons, we talked about forgiveness. Same thing, right? People kind of buck against, I'm not trying to forgive that person, because if I forgive them, that means I'm accepting what they did and I'm cool with it. No, it's a doorway. We're trying to get to the next thing. And in order to get to the next thing, you have to be able to, you got to be able to accept, man. It's part of the process.
It's not meant to hold you or to keep you in bondage. It's to really liberate you. It really is to liberate you.
Yeah.
I mean, you can run around here talking about you don't need oxygen to breathe, but until you accept it, you'll really begin to appreciate the fact that it's out here. You know, you're running around talking about, I don't want that. I don't need that. No. Oxygen is necessary. You can fight against it all you want.
Yeah, but let it be not present.
Yeah.
Right.
You don't exist without it. And it allows you to do so many things once you accept it, because that's just a foundation. That just gets you into the door. Like you said, it's a doorway to all these other things.
Yep. That's it. And that's part of the process. And it's funny you would say that, man, because as we're catching up, right? That's something that I've had to, in this season of my life, have actually had to remind myself of, because there's some things that have happened between the last time we were recording and now, that I have to accept to go through that door to whatever the next level is, to whatever the next thing is, to whatever the next series of learning is, to whatever God has in store, to whatever development has to take place in me. Like, I gotta go through the door first to get that.
Man, look, acceptance is a part of growth. If you're not going to accept it, if it's because you're able to accept something new that you can grow. It takes you from one stage to the next. I can just be resistance to growing by not accepting knowledge, by not accepting other information, things that are being presented. Man, look, I'm in that season too. We all are in that season. We should all be in that season. Growth is something that we need. It's evident in life.
And it's ongoing.
Yes. And it's never, when it stops, we've said it before, nothing that's, things that are dead don't grow.
That aren't, right. Things that aren't growing
is dead.
Aren't growing. Right.
So. Hey, this is so similar and so interesting, because tonight's episode, it's about grief, loss, and how it relates to love. And before we get into it, I don't know, we didn't jump into it. Hey, welcome to It's Life. It's sponsored by Clear Journey, which is a nonprofit that helps individuals to navigate life with the various things such as education and resources. If you'd like to learn more about what we do, go over to clearjourney.org. We have pillars over there. We have the foundation of our nonprofit. It's a nonprofit. And we have a foundation based on a book that I wrote a few years ago, and it's called Love Made Simple, The Guide to Inner Peace, Contentment, and Success. It's over there. You can find out more about it. If you'd like to pick up a copy of it, please to support us. It's on Amazon. It's an Audible. Pick up a copy of it. You can support us in what we're doing at Clear Journey. We want to help you navigate life more successfully. Also over there, we want to give to you a book that we think that is the foundation of our journey. It's a resource that we give to anyone who goes over there and asks for it. It's called The Budgeting Made Easy, the Guide to Taking Charge of Your Money. So by all means, go over there, have at it so that you can get the information necessary. And we lay all of that down on the foundation of the mindset. It's based on the attitudes of love that if you'll go over to the website, you can see all of those things under the tab that says the love mindset. We are very much here to support you in all that you do. And if it's anything that we can do to help you navigate life more successfully, that's why we're here. If you like what you hear while you're here, we really would like you to join our community. Go over to our YouTube channel, subscribe, hit the like button, and so we can be in this community together. But by all means, we want to help you navigate life more successfully. And we're, again, in this journey together, all of us. So Oliver's here with me. And so that's what we do. We're here to help.
Indeed. We're here to help. and we are grateful for your support in the way of tuning into this and sharing it with somebody that you care about.
Absolutely. Again, if you go over to our website, you'll see some of the events we have over there. Once a month, we have an event called Unity Through Love. It's a community that comes together. You just register. We give you a link. We all come together on Zoom. It's a virtual thing, here to support you on your journey. We just here to support. So that's one of those once a month events that we provide you an opportunity to come on out and we can support one another. So, but tonight, I tell you, this is very interesting that we got the conversation went the way that it went because we have a guest tonight that speaks to grief and loss. And it's a part of life that we oftentimes don't want to speak on or talk about, but it's something that we're all going to have to confront personally and with our, partaking in that of ourselves, but also with people that we care about. That makes the grieving process something that we have to navigate. And we have a guest that's going to speak on that. But go right ahead. What'd you give me to say?
I'm actually going to save it for when our guest comes in, because I was having a conversation with my wife yesterday about grief, but in a little different way. And I'm really curious to hear what our guest has to say about that, because we often think about grief sort of in one dimension. And my wife and I were talking about grief in a very kind of different way yesterday. So I'll bring that up when he comes in. But just you saying that just made me think, you know what? I want to see what our guest has to say about that.
Hey, well, let's bring him out. He is a centered grief therapist, body and centered grief therapist. His name is Jason Wendroff. And that's our intro. I'm going to let him tell you more about him. Jason, come on. Hey,
welcome. Hey, Oliver. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm so
indeed.
excited to be having this conversation with you, especially because it's about life, and you can't talk about life without talking about death. It's just part of the cycle.
It is. And I'm going to be honest with you, Jason. When I heard what you do, I was like, I want you on the show, because I don't know of a better way to introduce something that is so important as it relates to navigating life, more so than being able to embrace death.
Yeah. Well,
because
and also,
once you do that, you really begin to put things into perspective.
And also around when you talk about love too, it's all connected. And a lot of times people think, oh my God, I don't want to talk about death because it has to be sad. But why? It doesn't have to be. I mean, a lot of times it is, and we may miss that person. Doesn't mean we love them any less.
Mm-hmm. To understand the cycle of life is to appreciate and value death as its purpose. Death has a purpose. We've had this conversation, I think, Oliver, before.
We have.
And I think it's so ironic that there is nothing that is in existence that does not have a beginning and an end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And yet we fail to realize the value in that. It's a value in that, because we think about it. And here's the point. It does not matter when that ending comes, because that's where a lot of times we get hung up, is to when that ending comes. And so as a result, we end up not well equipped to handle it.
Sure.
Now, and I'm giving you a chance to be a therapist here towards me, because as I was talking to Oliver before we got started, I have been on this journey, probably a new journey, in the last 6 months. Not 6 months. I'd say the last 2 or 3 months. 2 months to be more specifically, because I'm working with a coach And I'm dealing with a coach to do a TED talk. And he was like, Juan, you really have to be more relatable.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what do you mean more relatable? He's like, you've got to tell your story. I was like, I'm telling my story. I said, no. You're telling me the outcomes of your story.
Mm.
You need to tell me your story. And I say that, I bring this up because I am a child. I'm 60 years old now, but my mom died when I was 6 years old. And just recently, I realized that I never grieved it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I never dealt with it.
Mm-hmm.
That's not uncommon.
Yeah. But the point I'm saying is that what it does is we need to be able to understand the value of it. You just don't disregard it. I mean, I was writing something. I said, I woke up one morning, my dad said, my mom, dad, and it was like, okay, Ann, let's move on. Yeah. The story was the story. That was the extent of the grief process.
Yeah.
Wow. We were on to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Next day. And so we need to be able to understand that that's important, to embrace that, to acknowledge that, and to process that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and going back to your acceptance, when you were talking in the beginning of the thing, right? We can't just skip right to, oh, let's go on, everything's okay. We have to accept the fact that she died, right? Like the fact that she's gone and she's not coming back. And then from that place, because I believe acceptance gives you choice.
That's good.
Right?
Yeah.
Acceptance gives you choice. You can choose to stay sad, or you can choose a different emotion, or you could choose a different thought, or you can choose a different action. But it's not, if we're not accepting, we don't have choice, because we go back to old patterns.
And that's very interesting, because the thing that I've realized is that my choice was to not to acknowledge. And when I say not to acknowledge, I was never introduced as to how to acknowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So it was as though it was by default, I didn't accept, or acceptance was, at 6 years old, what you accept? I mean, mom ain't coming home. That's about it.
Yeah.
And you go on to the next, the next move.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so much to this, and we'll be in session if I get into this. but again, let me just say that as a result of the importance of this conversation. Let me just throw this out here. Most people think that grief lives in the heart or the mind. You say it lives in the body.
100%.
What are we missing, and what is it costing us?
Sure. I actually believe that there's a relationship between what we think, what we feel, and what we do, right? So our mind, our heart, and our body. And they're always in relationship to each other. If you make a change in the way, like everyone says, oh, let's just reframe the thinking, right? But if you reframe the thinking, it's going to change your emotions, but then it changes what happens in your physical body, and your your cells are a recording device. So whether it's grief, whether it's some other challenge or struggle, like relationship struggles, abuse, anything like that, those things get locked up in the cells of our body because it's a protection mechanism, so that this way, we can keep ourselves safe, because we're not designed to be happy. We're designed for survival, and we have to work at the happiness of it. So when we get into these old patterns, like pushing down your grief, like not mentioning your mom's name, or not mentioning my sister's name, or getting these, especially as men in our society. Oh, you have to be strong for your family, and you have to be the ones that are providers and protectors, and they can't see you weak. We get into those patterns, and those patterns get lodged in the cells of our body. And if we ignore them, a trigger will come up and will reactivate them. So if you don't use your body as a part of your wholeness and your wellness, then you're missing a third of the power of you being you. And so you're just doing two things rather than three. And then we can throw spirit in there too, right? Like the fourth one is spirit. I don't always talk about spirit because everyone's got a different idea about spirit. It can be controversial, but we all have to align our body, our heart, and our mind with our spirit, with our higher power. So
that right there is that element that I speak on. I come from that perspective of love being that ability to connect to something bigger than yourself.
Yeah.
And that's how we come to that conclusion. So again, before we go any further, let's tell the people your story. Let people know about who you are and what it is you do and how you do it.
Yep. So stories are important. I teach a lot about stories. Like in my my process when I work with clients, acceptance is always the first step. And then we work on like creating vitality in the body and in the heart and in the mind. And then identity and compelling future, like how you see yourself. So, there's definitely 3 steps that I use. Where I came up with that from is I was going to be a more traditional talk therapist. That was my plan. That was my life plan. I was going to be a therapist and, help people. Then in 1998, my sister died in a car accident. And that's what the B represents. So talk about love, right? Like she's always with me. The B, her Hebrew name was Devorah. Her English name was Lauren, but Devorah in Hebrew translates into bumblebee. So that became part of my business. So the love I have for her is always present with everything I do, with all of the work that I do. So she dies in a car accident. Now I'm studying to be a therapist. So I know about therapy. I know what it can do. I know its capabilities. And I realized it wasn't going to be enough for me. Like I sort of had that philosophical conversation with myself. And I'm like, it's not going to serve me. Like, so, but what will? So I had to come up with a solution for that. Around that same time, I was doing things like yoga and meditation and mindfulness. And I realized that the more I did with my body, the better I felt. So I not just doing yoga, but I would start running and lifting and eating well. And I changed my diet. I went from being like, when I was in college and going for my master's, I was like eating pizza and drinking beer and doing all that kind of stuff. And then I took a 180-degree turnaround in my diet. I ate very close to the earth. I cut out meat. I cut out fish. I cut out poultry. I've since then turned around and started incorporating it back in. But back in then, I try to clean up my diet because the better I was feeling in my body, I was able to deal with my emotions and my thoughts more effectively. So I'm like, oh, there's something to this, like body as a recording device thing. And if I can find my vitality, then it's easier to deal with the emotions and the thoughts that come up from the grief and the loss that I was experiencing. I would bring this back to my psychology professors and say, hey, I'm doing these physical practices, these breathing techniques, all of these things. It's making me feel better. What's the view on psychology with that? And back then in 1998-ish, they were like, oh, there's no science to back it up and blah, blah, blah. And so they completely invalidated the experience that I was having in my own healing journey. So I was like, all right, whatever, like I'll kind of put that aside. And I wound up becoming a yoga instructor and teaching and affecting people. And then in 2019, I was teaching yoga at a grief conference. And I had a conversation with some of the bereaved siblings there, because the bereaved sibling community we're called the forgotten mourners, because nobody recognizes or validates the sibling loss, because they always ask about our parents. You have to be strong now for your parents. You got to do more for your parents. You got to make sure your parents are okay. So I was like you, Juan, where I pushed my grief down for many, many years because of that. So that when I was in this conference, talking about why do you come to the conference? And the person told me, it's the only time in my year that I can really be myself without having to explain it all away. I was like, oh, that's interesting. And so I started a peer support group for bereaved siblings, which I actually run to this day. I run it every Thursday night, but that brought me into the grief space. And I'm like, oh, I want to be the person that I wish I had 20 years ago. And so that brought me into the grief space. And for the last, 6 years, it's been my total focus about how to help people and manage their own grief and loss.
Wow. That's a powerful story. And it's, I had to smile because, so often our passions are discovered.
Yeah.
In some level of pain, man. And so that's powerful, man. And just to think you were on to something all those years ago.
Yeah.
That now people are recognizing as a thing, right?
Yeah. Sure. And to kind of bring it to a more general, so some of you, like, even if some of your audience members aren't listening, like, we do these things in our life that we don't realize how it's going to connect, but we just have to trust that it's going to connect. And then put it all together in some way, because I had all of these pieces. I have a master's in psychology. I'm a yoga instructor. I do work with essential oils and healthy diet and all of these things. I couldn't figure out as I was going through it, how it was going to all tie together. But then I had this talk with this person, and then all of a sudden it came crystal clear what my path was and how each of the components that I was doing that didn't make sense at the time, how they were all going to come together.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Oliver. You had one.
Yeah. So I did mention this earlier. My wife and I were talking yesterday. And in the beginning, we were talking about just how things are kind of different in life, right? So I'll just be open, with our community. But so I'm about to begin the second iteration of our business from a structural standpoint, right? And so I was telling somebody the other day that when you go into business, it's not uncommon for there to be multiple iterations, right? That's not uncommon. But I was telling my wife, I feel like I need to grieve the loss of this first thing.
Yeah.
Which, you get into the first thing with the hope that it's going to be the big thing, right? And then when it comes out that it's not the big thing, I just was like, man, I don't feel like I can necessarily just step into the other thing and just be like, oh, well, here we go. And so we were having that conversation yesterday, and she was like, yeah, I think we're actually supposed to grieve that. Like, I think that's a thing. Like, it's not death of a loved one or, grief in that way, that dimension that we often put grief into, or box we put it into. But I was like, I think it applies to this, and so just want to hear your thoughts about that.
Well, it's exactly what Juan did, right? Like with his mom, she passed and it's like, oh, let's go on to the next thing, right? It's not the same, but it is the same, right? Like, you have to grieve, for most of us. I know for me, my business is like my child, right? Like, it's like a child for me. And so when we have to, if we lose a child, then we have that grieving process. And it's kind of similar, because grief is very complex. Now, I also believe we don't have enough language around grief itself, right?
Yeah.
So that's, I think, the biggest problem, because we're not talking about it enough, that we haven't created the language that we need around grief. Because a death-related loss and, let's say, loss of a business or a shift of a business are different in many ways, but very similar in so many. But the language doesn't, it doesn't match, because there's no way of differentiating. Like, I know, like, the Eskimos have, like, I think 20 or 30 words for snow, where we say, oh, there's snow out, right? Like, so we need to, that's why these conversations are so important, so that we can develop a new language, so that this way you feel like that, oh, I have to grieve the loss of this part, this iteration of my business. And that's okay. And you can grieve the loss of your mom, and that's okay too. And it's similar but different. And so I really think we need to create that new language around it.
I agree with that too, because there's and I'm sure there's several similarities, but just kind of hearing what you were saying, and you were talking about just the connection between the heart, mind, soul type thing, or what the body does, and that it's this recording device, right? I feel like, and I'm just using myself as an example, I feel like there's certain things or certain feelings that go along with, grieving, if you will, that iteration, that do show up in my body, right? And so, and just like what you were talking about, the change you made in college, I do notice that, okay, if I'm making sure I'm getting my vitamin D, or I'm doing my 30 minutes on the bike, and I'm lifting a little bit, and I'm getting outside, or all these different things that I feel like, at first, like, okay, I'm just kind of going through the motions, but they make a difference in how you process whatever it is. And I love that you made that connection, because sometimes, and for those who are listening, there might be people who don't understand that there is a connection, right? And so they try to manage them as if they're two different things. Well, my emotions are this one thing I got to figure out a way out of. And I'm tired today too, so I got to figure out a way. No. Those things are connected. those are connected.
So and then going to the refrigerator and stuffing a whole sleeve of cookies in your face, right? Like you have to look at things also more symbolically as well than literally, right? Like, so when you find yourself overeating, what are you trying to hold down, right? Like, is it emotions that you're pushing down, right? Is it maybe it's some physical sensations that are getting overwhelming, and being stuffed or stuffing yourself can squelch some of the physical sensations. Maybe it's we all have our own unique patterns, but we're pattern driven, human beings. And so when we can start to look at our own patterns, then we can really start to work with them and make some shifts and changes.
Yeah. This might be a little bit of what we've been talking about right here, but we're in a culture that basically teaches us to be strong as it pertains to grief. Why is it, and instead of, why are we being taught this other type of holistic approach? In other words, why is it that we're not taught this, what you're talking about? Do you see this as a hindrance to being able to move forward in how we basically digest and understand grief?
So I'm going to say it's the meaning that we put around the words that we use that becomes the issue, right? So what does strong actually mean, right? Like, I feel that I can show my strength by being vulnerable. So it depends if you're talking about like just physical strength, so it's the meanings of the words that we use is what's really important, like the stories that we tell about them. And so if we just give a new meaning, you can be strong. I can be strong for my parents, and I can also be vulnerable at the same time. I can deal with my grief and help them deal with theirs, but I have to put my oxygen mask on first before I can help them. So, it's all in the meanings that you want to give. And if you don't like the meaning that a word has, then change it for yourself. you know?
Wow.
Right? Like, so if you're like, well, I don't like that word strong, I don't like what it means, especially if it's like, it has to be related to physical strength, then change it and shift it. Like, you know, for me, vulnerability is strength. Doesn't mean that people are going to walk all over me. I'm not going to let someone walk all over me, but I can be honest and truthful and show how I feel about it, especially when it comes to my emotions. I can wear my emotions on my sleeve, and that's where my strength comes from.
See, and I like the way you put that, because until you're able to define strength for yourself,
yeah,
and it's not that you're changing it as much as you are defining it and putting meaning to it to implement or to demonstrate that strength.
yeah,
Because one of the things that I talk about and I teach, I talk about being humble. Humble is a tremendous amount of strength. Because you're actually implying vulnerability. You're going to say or put yourself in a position to receive something. Whereas is that you're saying, look, I need you.
Yeah.
I need something. I don't have it all. I need your help.
Yep.
And that's vulnerable. And many people have a difficult time with understanding that. And when we're talking about this grief, that is not something, and that goes back again to I'm trying to put the conversations, because we've been talking for some time, as it relates to how do we see death,
right?
You know, because until you understand and put value to it, we have this tendency of looking at grief or death as something that's bad.
Oh yeah, no, and I have changed my definition of even grief, because in the beginning, yeah, it was horrible, and great. We can't change situations, right? No matter what I do is not going to bring my sister back. Nothing I can do is bringing her back. So I can choose to live my life in sadness and depression and not, or I can choose to change how I see my loss. And so what I've chosen is I've started to look at the beauty that her passing has brought to my life. Would I be sitting here talking to you guys if she hadn't passed? The answer is no, because I would probably be working in a 9-to-5 job that I would absolutely hate. I would be walking around dead but still alive, because I would hate what I'm doing, because that's not my purpose. That's not my passion. I need to be doing something for myself. I need to be doing something out of the box. Her death gave me courage to go for it, right? It put my mortality in perspective, so that this way I can't wait. If there's something I want, I got to go after it. I have to go after it, because nobody's going to give it to me. And I can't wait, because if I wait, then we don't know how much time we have left. She died at 24, right? So I don't know how much time. So it really put urgency into the stuff that I got to do. It's also made me more compassionate with people. So now I can really feel for them and really understand what they're going through. So there's a ton of great things that her passing brought to my life. Would I want her back? For sure, but I don't want to lose those parts of myself.
And I love that, because that introduces a level of perspective that it can only be in alignment with the maturation process that's necessary to get you to the point where you're seeing those things, and you're defining them in ways that are advantageous to your development and to your growth. And I don't know that we're taught that. Like you said, Juan, the language that we're given and the teaching that we're given is always a doom and gloom scenario, which keeps us in a perpetual state of only one component, one level of grief, if you will, that doesn't allow for the growth that's necessary to get to a place where you could say something like Jason said about losing his sister. Like that's incredible.
It's really interesting enough, though, is the verbiage loss. We use the word loss, and nobody sees loss as valuable.
Yeah.
Loss,
Mm.
you that's not the word. I use death as completion. I use it as something that is complete, irrespective of when it is complete. It is complete. We're on a temporary duty assignment. And when it's up, it's up. We don't have a determination of to when it's going to be up, but it's complete. Now, it's at that value that you understand that it's not about the loss, it's the appreciation of what that value was while it was there.
I'm gonna challenge you a little bit.
Go ahead. Push.
Because my sister is dead. I don't
Mhm.
feel our relationship is complete. She's
No, not the relationship. I'm talking about her existence.
Well, her physical existence, but
Yeah.
but when it comes to energy, energy is neither created nor destroyed. It just
Transfers.
So she's with me all the time. So
Mhm.
you know, so I don't feel like, yes, she's not here physically. Like that's the situation, but I feel that she's with me all the time, and we have like conversations with each other, and so I don't feel like some people say grief is love with nowhere to go, and I say that's not true at all.
Okay.
With understanding energy, you're right. I think you're right. It has plenty place to go with energy, because that's exactly.
I still love my sister, and it's directly going to her, my love for her. Like, so she may not be here physically, but there is a direction that my love, it's going into my work. It's going into everything that I do is in her honor, so that this way, that's where my love is flowing, and that's flowing to her through that medium.
So this is good, right? This brings up a great question. Well, I think it's a great question, but it brings up a question. So with Juan using the language complete, right? Which is a language that is for him, defines this in a way that is meaningful for him. And Jason, you talked about creating language, right?
Yeah.
That with Juan saying that, and then the response that you have, the question that creates for me is, in creating language, which you said, Jason, is important in definition, are there some things we should stay away from as it relates to language and grief? In the definition process, are there some things that might steer us in a way that maybe isn't, I hate to use the word right, because that's very damning, but that doesn't allow us to evolve in the way that we should in the grief process?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of platitudes out there, like, oh, they're in a better place. And, but here's the thing. It all depends on where it comes from, right? There's a lot of my siblings will cringe when someone says, oh, what would your brother want you to do? But if I were to say it, because I've been through the situation, it's fine, because it's coming from a different place.
Okay.
Right. Like, so it's a very, I never like to blanket anything as good or bad, because those are just judgments, right?
Right. Exactly.
It's all depend on where it comes from, who it comes from. Everybody's grief journey is so different. So, where I'll give you a great example is that there's one of my colleagues, his brother died in a car accident, as did my sister. I went to go see the car after she had passed in the junkyard. It was mangled, and it gave me a sense of peace. It let me know that there's no way that she was walking out of that accident, and the best outcome would to be her passing, because if she had lived, she would have needed medical attention. She would have needed constant care. And knowing my sister, that she was a strong, powerful woman, she would have hated every minute of it, and she would have wanted it to be over. So for me, seeing the car wreck gave me a sense of peace. But for my other colleague, he did the same, and for him, it haunts him. So there's never a clear-cut answer. I know I'm sort of skirting around, but
no, you're answering it.
For everybody, it's so different. Like, some people love to look at pictures of their loved one. Some people can't do it for years. So it really, but the best thing to do is, what I can tell you, is listen for what the person wants, and they may not know it themselves, and just be there to listen. And you don't need to say anything. You don't need to do anything. Sometimes silence is the best thing that you can do for a grieving person. Just to be there with an ear, just say, hey, I'm here if you need to talk.
That's why professionals like you are so important, man, because I think there's not enough education around it.
No.
There's not enough guidance around it, right? And so to have somebody like you who can see a situation and be able to make that differentiation.
Yeah.
Right. Because you may be working with me and working with the next person, and what you see in us in terms of the path we need to take could be completely different.
Sure.
You
yeah.
know,
And
so
it usually, and it almost always is, right? Like, because we all have a way in which we define things, in which we create our stories. We all have different stories that we tell ourselves and we tell other people about the world and our global view, and all of that affects everything. So, yeah.
Yeah. Man, this is good stuff, man.
And now it's time for the practical.
Yeah.
The practicum. Okay. In what you're doing, for someone who's listening to the program right now, and they're carrying some grief in their shoulders, in their chest, in their stomach, what are some practices that you can offer to help them in maybe the next 30 seconds that you have, right?
You got it. We're going to all do it together. So I think one of the best ways, the easiest and the fastest way to help regulate your nervous system is by learning to breathe deeply. And in about 20 seconds, I'm going to quickly show you how to do it. So I want you to bring a hand to your belly and a hand to the chest. And then as long as you're not driving, you can close your eyes, right? As long as you're not operating heavy machinery, like just close your eyes. And I want you to breathe in and out through the nose. And I want you to notice the movement of your belly and your chest as you breathe. And some of us breathe more with the chest. Some of us breathe more with the belly. So in this present moment, just notice where you breathe more deeply. Also notice the length of your inhale versus the length of your exhale. Because each represents a different part of our nervous system. And then as you inhale, I want you to fill up your belly, lungs, and chest. And then as you exhale, release chest, lungs, and belly. Inhale, filling up belly, lungs, and chest. Exhale, releasing chest, lungs, and belly. And just keep that rhythm. You don't need to do anything more complicated than that. Filling up belly, lungs, and chest. Releasing chest, lungs, and belly. Take 3 more deep breaths. Paying attention inwards. Good. 1 more deep breath in. And 1 more deep breath out. And then just let the hands rest in the lap, and just take a moment to notice just the effect that, however long we did that, right? Like maybe 40 seconds or so. Just notice the effect that it had on the body. Notice the effect that it had on your heart, in your emotions. Notice the effect that it had in your mind. And then when you feel ready, just crack your eyes open. So what did you notice, Juan?
Hey, when you said there was a couple things that you said, and I'll be honest with you. I've started yoga in the last 4 or 5 weeks.
Okay.
And this is a part of the breathing exercise and stuff like that. But when you started to talk about, and I'm going to ask you this question, the diaphragm and the inhale and the inhalation and exhaling.
Yep.
You said there were different parts of our nervous system.
Yep.
I noticed that my inhale was shorter than my exhale, tremendously shorter.
Okay.
What does that mean?
Okay. So So when we inhale, it's our sympathetic nervous system, like our fight and our flight. When we exhale, it's the parasympathetic nervous system. It's our rest and digest. Mm-hmm. Right. And so your fight and flight is probably
cortisol.
It's all the cortisol. Right. So we need that, that balance between inhaling and it's yoga means union, right? Unifying the opposites, just like we're talking about life and we got to talk about death. We want to go for it, but then we have to pause and accept ourselves. So everything in life is that balance. It's fine. Is balance, and I should say counterbalance, because I don't want to feel like balance is like, oh, I got it and then I'm done, because life is always throwing curveballs at you and you have to always readjust. So,
but it's to recognize that it's that balance that you're after, that where many of us aren't aware of where the balance even resides.
Right. Correct.
When you just said the fact that there's a balance in your inhale and exhale.
Yep.
And I'll be honest with you, this is something that I recognize, and I did not know what the problem was. And I was out riding my bike, and it's been something for some time. I have had my health and wellness journey. I've been on it for some time.
Yep.
And what I have come to realize is what you just said, is that I was not breathing very well because I was not balanced.
Yeah.
And I did not know that it was because I was not balanced until I began to specifically do what you just told us to do.
Yep.
Is to breathe through. People don't realize how important we can breathe through our mouths and we can breathe through our nose.
Yep.
But until you isolate them, you won't begin to recognize where your imbalance is.
Yeah. And
shut one of them up.
Yeah. And in yoga, there's actually a really specific reason we breathe in and out through the nose, is because our energy channels, that's where they end up, like not like up in the nostrils. So that's where our main energy channels end, I should say. They come up from the base of the spine, up through those nostril points. And that also helps to balance our masculine and feminine qualities, like, because we all have both. It's all on a continuum. And so we always have to find like that balance between going after it and then backing and taking some rest, right? And when I say balance, it doesn't mean you have to do both sides the same. Like if you recognize that your inhale is constricted, then that's what you need to focus on, is expanding the inhale. It's just like when you're working out, if your left arm is weaker than your right arm, you don't just keep working your right arm. You have to work a little bit more on the left side as well, because balance doesn't mean both sides are even or equal.
No, you're right. And all I was trying to say is what we do is we compensate, though. We don't look at it as though like, oh, that needs to be balanced.
Yeah.
We compensate and we let the mouth, we start breathing. Because what I was doing, I was out riding my bike, and I was realizing that I couldn't ride my bike without opening my mouth.
Right.
And I was like, there's something wrong with this, but I just didn't know what.
Yep.
And I have since then learned through various different methods that I've learned that if you're not bringing in enough oxygen, that's where life is.
Yep. And that's where like your muscles have to work harder. Everything has to work harder, because it's just like, you're not getting enough water, or you're not getting enough vitamins. Everything gets thrown off. And that's why like we have to start with the body. If we start with our body as a foundation, and we give it the vitality, we give it the oxygen, we give it the water, we give it the nutrients, we get good quality sleep, because that's another thing that we need to really focus on, because studies are showing that sleep is maybe moving to the number one position for our overall health, even more so than exercise and diet. So it's moving to number one, because it's our body's ability to recuperate and to heal and to regenerate. So sleep is critical.
And I'm in that space where I'm recognizing that.
Yeah.
And I'm recognizing it as it relates to not doing it.
Yeah. Oh, it's terrible. Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, people talk about the various stages of not being able to sleep, what they call it,
Sleep
what's the word?
apnea.
Well, no,
Insomnia.
insomnia.
Okay. Yeah.
The ability to not fall asleep,
Yep.
and then there's the ability not to stay asleep.
Yep. There's two separate things. Yep.
Those are two separate. I mean, and I'm telling you, the most miserable thing it is to be able to lay in the bed and can't go to sleep. Can't be dog tired.
Yep.
And can't go to sleep.
Yep. Well,
means,
there's some breathing. You could actually try what we just did, right?
Oh,
like what we just did.
Don't think I'm not. Don't think I'm not. Absolutely.
If you need more support, there's some essential oils I work with some that'll help you fall asleep, some that'll help you keep you asleep. So there's all options. I talk with my clients. I talk a lot about sleep hygiene because of how important it is.
It is vital, and I'm telling you, to have experienced the lack of it.
Yep.
I'm on a health and wellness journey that I'm attempting to gain vitality, recuperation, something that I have unwillingly or unaware of losing. I mean, just over a period of time, realizing that being elderly, being of age, is not it's just not allowing to understand your body. If you don't understand what you're working with, you're not going to be able to preserve it.
And it's the story you tell around that, right? Like, so when I was about 20, I want to say 25, 26, I realized that I needed to change my story, because the story I was hearing about getting older was that, oh, you got to be sick as you get older. And I said, that is not going to be me. I am actually right now, I'm 54 and I'm in probably the best physical shape. I'm stronger, I'm faster than I've been at any point in my life, even as a high school kid. And I keep on working to get myself literally physically stronger, right? We were talking about strength earlier, right? Emotionally stronger, mentally stronger. I'm becoming more resilient every single day, and I keep working at it. And I know the two of you do the same. So
it's intentional, though. It's intentionality. You have to be intentional as you get older. You have to be more intentional.
Yeah.
And there's no substitutes.
And you have to look at the stories that you tell yourself too about the thing that you want to accomplish.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's critical.
Yep. The only limitation is the ones that you put on yourself. So
right between your ears. Well, let's the last thing we have here is in your work, where do you see love showing up, not as an emotion, but as a practice during grief?
Oh, I think love is it's involved in everything that I do. I think I probably answered the question with my sister, the bee, being with me. As I said, it's my love for her is directed into every email I write. I'm thinking okay, what are my people? And it's actually even love for my clients too, right? What do they need to hear today? What do they need to how can I get vulnerable? How can I tap in to my own, how can I take my mess and make it my message, right? How can I take my struggle and help other people over, with the same thing? And love is infused in everything that I do.
You're demonstrating it.
Yeah, I live by example, right? I would not do anything. I would never ask my clients to do anything that I am not willing to do myself.
That right there is the demonstration. That's the commitment. That's the dedication that you have to being a representation, or you being a manifestation of what you do.
Yeah.
That's the example that love allows us to demonstrate to one another, is to be a witness, to be that example.
Yeah.
Oliver, you have anything else? Anything that you'd like to close? We're coming to the end.
No, this is good. This was a great conversation, and it's so needed, because it's not talked about enough. In many circles, it's not talked about enough. Many of us are fighting, if you will, with emotions and physical conditions and mental
Limitations.
anguish, right? And we don't have the language or the education to connect the dots to, hey, listen, you are grieving something.
Yeah.
And let's work through that, man. So it's so awesome to know that there are professionals like you, Jason, who are around.
And Oliver, take some time and grieve the loss of that first part of your business, right?
Yes,
you gotta
sir.
let it go. Like, you have to honor it, accept it, and literally love it, right? Like, because everything, has a time and a space, and the time and the space is gone for the first part of you. And then looking at your identity of in moving forward, like, we always have to look at, who we're becoming as we move forward.
And you said something key, man, for me, that I'm gonna be selfish and take, right? And it is really being cognizant of the story you're telling yourself.
Awesome.
That is that I'm running with that, brother. Thank you for that.
Hey, Jason, I'm gonna give you the last word. What would you like the audience to take away? What's the takeaway that you want the audience to have?
Yeah, just be gentle with yourself. Give yourself grace. Just know that you're doing a great job in whatever challenge or struggle you're having. You may not see it right now, but just give yourself that grace, because everything will come together in a way that in a perfect synchrony of the way it needs to.
Okay. Now, I know we've got some information as to how our audience can reach you. What you got?
So the best way is my website, www.somaticgrieftherapy.com. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. I got TikTok. I got Instagram. But on my website, there's like a ton of free resources. There's a tip sheet you can download of 5 practices in helping you manage grief. I did a keynote speech for a grief conference about 2 years ago. The video and the slides are up there. I'm on other, this podcast will be up there when it gets launched, and I have a bunch of other stuff there too. And feel free to connect with me. I offer a free clarity call or a connect call if you just want to kind of talk and get a consultation. It's free, no charge.
Okay. Well, look, in light of what you just said, let me ask you a question before we close.
Yeah.
What are 3 signs, just 3, that people that are grieving could recognize to say that they're grieving? Is there signs? Are there 3 things, any kind of signs that people can recognize that they're grieving?
And that's a tough question because everybody's grief is so different, right? Some people stay in bed all day. Some people need to go to work. So like there's so like the signs are so all over the place. So it's really hard to be able to pinpoint that for people, because there's no, I hate using big brush strokes like that, because everyone is so unique and so different. But if you're crying, if you're, but I don't even want to go there, because crying has so many different meanings. And so, everything depending on the story, right? So
could it be, and I was getting ready to, could it be recognizing the story that you're telling yourself?
Yeah. Well, the couple of things I would do is look at patterns like that. If you look at your own patterns, there are cycles so notice what you think, what you feel, and what you do, and notice, because a lot of times those patterns will repeat themselves. So I'll give you my personal example. Is I found out that my sister died via the telephone. And so in the beginning, every time the phone rang, I thought, who's dead next? And then I would be scared, right? So that was my pattern. Phone ringing was the trigger. The thought came next of who's dead now. And then the fear came, right? So that was my pattern. Every time the phone rang, that pattern showed itself. And so we all have things like that are individual and unique to us.
And that's the recognizing what we're telling ourselves. That's that cognitive recognition that this thing is we have something that we need to deal with.
Yeah. Yes.
It's something that we need to deal with. And I think just to be aware of, look, we're repeating this thing and it's repeating its thing over and over again. I need to address it.
Yeah, no, and I would use your intuition, right? Like if you think something's wrong, then something's wrong, right? Like that's because we are what we think. And so if you think something's wrong, and go get support around that.
Yeah. Hey, this is great. Like I said, this conversation, I'm glad you were here to have it.
I'm glad you invited me. I'm glad we met. I'm glad we'll stay connected,
Yeah.
Awesome conversation. Awesome.
I want to just thank you. I want to thank you for spending some time with us, coming out to help us navigate this space called grief, loss, and hopefully people will reach out, hear this conversation, and know that it's okay to reach out for support in this area, and that grief is a mind, and it's varies. It could be anything where there is a sense of something that needs to be addressed.
Yep.
Something that needs to be addressed on many levels. I mean, I look at my situation. I would have never thought.
Yeah.
But when people ask you questions that cause you to think as to why, and you don't have an answer, it needs to be some work done.
Yep.
Needs to do some work done. So look, again, appreciate you. We're going to close out the show, go into the green room. Don't go anywhere because we want to thank you and appreciate you some more. But we're going to close out the show. And again, we thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Indeed. Great information. I mean, great information. That was awesome.
Timely.
Indeed. Very much so, because, a lot of what I'm experiencing, even though it's not, and there's a piece I didn't even bring up in terms of what's happening with me being in the caregiving phase, because it's almost like you start that grieving process before the thing even happens, just because you're kind of seeing them decline and you're seeing them age. Like there's so much of this conversation, man, that was just right on time, man. So that's awesome, man. And let me put up Jason's thing again, man. You guys got to reach out to him. Make sure you connect with him. You can, he's on social media. So if you go to that website, you can connect with him on all of his social media there as well. Phenomenal. I love it.
It's the ability to be able to move on.
Mm-hmm.
It's to get the support, to get to the support you need to be able to move on.
You know what was a great tweetable moment? There were a million of them, but one that stands out. If tweeting is your thing, whatever, sharing social media moment, right? Jason said that acceptance creates choice. That's a mic drop. I was like, whoa. That's very true. I was just thinking about myself. It's like, yeah, that's right.
That's the conversation that the doctor and I have talking about. Acceptance is right after you choice comes right after acceptance.
Yeah, man. I so much to think about. This is good. This was good.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jason, man. Good stuff.
Hey, y'all. Just want to thank you. This is our 4th season. We appreciate you being with us. We can't do it without you. We need you. We're here for you. We want to present and provide you with education and resources so that you can navigate your lives better. And hopefully this conversation will help you do just that. If you liked it, heard the conversation, give us a like, subscribe to our channel, and understand that we're here for you, and we're always going to be here for you. That being the case, Oliver, let the people know how they can contact you and what you've been up to.
Indeed. So if you're a social media person, where are we at? Right here is the social media handle. That's pretty much where you can find us everywhere. I am an author, speaker, and coach in the relationship building space, passionate about seeing relationships thrive, passionate about seeing men win in every area of their lives. And as such, wrote a book about it. You want to hear it? Here you go.
Go a little something like this.
Yeah. Overcoming the Man Laws for the Man Who Wants to Be His Best Despite What He Was Taught is the book. Feel free to grab that on Amazon. You can grab that there. Also, for my married folks, listen, we have decided to do something and make this just as accessible as possible to you. We have a group coaching experience that we've done in the past, and we decided, you know what? It's a higher ticket item, but the information is so pertinent. And so we need to get it into as many hands as possible. And so what we've done is we've taken all of that information, the videos, the teaching videos, and all of the information that we would give in that group, and we have created a do-it-yourself course that you can go at your own pace. It is called Make Love Better. It is a it's a 7 module because we give you a bonus module, but you get to go through everything that we have given all of our couples in this group coaching experience, and you can do it at your own pace. The website is right there, denaliCommunity.com/MLB for Make Love Better course. So denaliCommunity.com/MLB. Go ahead and check that out. I promise you, it is transformational. And I'm not saying that because I did it. I'm saying that because we have brought people through this, and you can read when you go to that site some of the testimonials from people who have gone through that process.
Yes. And that's what we hear. Oliver is one of our major supporters in the sense he's been with us from the beginning. And so we would like to support him as he ventures into a new space. So by all means, look him up and touch his course if you have need there. Again, if there's anything that you want to know more about Clear Journey, go over to clearjourney.org. We have all the information over there for you to navigate through things that we have. We have 4 pillars. We have finances. We have health and wellness. We have health and wellness. We have relationships, and we have overall self-improvement. Those are the 4 pillars. Go over there, and we talk about the attitudes, the right foundation to be successful in every area of your life. All righty. So until next time, as we said in the past, we can't change life, but we can help you navigate it. Until next time, we'll see you then.
Later.